This model kit review is of the AV-8, the Harrier, or our vertical jump jet, and it's a very large box. This is a 1/24 scale model, and it's by MPC. It's an older model kit. There's some pictures of the finished model, and it's going to be quite a large plane. This is a very large box. Let's have a look at the other side here. Some details about the plane there. Another picture of the finished model. And some more pictures there. So, let's have a look inside and see what we have. So first of all, here we have our fuselage halves, and these are all recessed rivet and panel lines, very nicely molded. It is a very large model. Not really much on the inside. That's where our fuselage formers will go. Here's the other side, again, same amount of detail, very nicely molded. Over here we have our wheels, and these are probably made out of vinyl, but they're still fairly soft and flexible, and okay in molding, not bad. Let's take out these screws. And we have a few loose pieces as well. And we have our decals and instruction manual. So over here we have, this is our canopy, and you can see the molding quality is reasonable, and a few other little glass pieces there. We do have a little bit of flashing. It'll need some cleaning up. Not sure what these parts are, but you can see there, there's rivets. Let's open up these screws here. So, first of all here, it looks like we have some of our weapons. You can see how large these are. These are rocket pods. And here are the rails. Looks like this is part of our landing gear here. And then these are the tails, part of the bombs. Another part of our gear here. Detail is, it's adequate. Really could have put a lot more detail into it for these larger model kits. Do have lots of little extra pieces here and there. Molding quality is reasonable. Here is our ejection seat. Really not a lot of detail there at all, but it's large enough that you could easily add some things to it. Here we have more of our weapons. These are going to be all of our bombs. And that's the back of the rocket pods there. And another one over here. And here's one or two that have fallen off. Okay, over here we have our ducts. They can be turned and rotated so that you can take off vertically. Here are our fuel tanks over here. And this is our cockpit, also it's got some detail, it's a little disappointing, but plenty of space to do your own thing. Now, this part is nice here. Look at that fan, that's a very large turbo fan there. We've got some engine parts here. Here's our main duct for the engine, got some other engine parts. and the molding quality is reasonable. We've got some little pieces of flashing here or there, but most of it's fairly well molded. And a few more pieces here or there. Open up this next set of sprues here. We've got a lot of pieces. This guy's almost off. Here's our pilot. Pilot's going to go together like this, and that molding, that fits together very snugly, and a lot of detail there. This sprue is a little warped, but all the parts seem fine. As you can see, excellent detail with all the rivet lines, and all recessed and panel lines as well. It's for our tail and for our stabilizer and elevator. Let's see. These are parts of our wheels, I would guess. There's some flashing here. Okay, and then similar for this one, parts are already starting to fall off here. Let's flip it over to see. Here's our instrument panel, which has got some nice detail. Here we have some of the body panels, like you're going to cover the engine. All very nicely molded. We've got our pilot's arms. These are probably our wheel well covers. Okay, let's have a look over here. These are our wings. Short, stubby little wings, but very nicely molded. Great level of detail there. And here's the other side of them. And excellent details there. So, all these extra pieces go aside. Here are our decals. Very nicely molded, very nicely printed. These are older, but still in excellent condition. You can see here a fair amount of detail. Here are the instructions. There's some details about the plane, and we start off with what looks like the engine. And plenty of details to build here, and it's gonna, looks like these parts are going to be able to turn the vents down or up. Here's the ductwork. And more parts going on here. Engine, turbofan going on. Then we put together our pilot and cockpit. Really needs a lot more detail there. And then that's, looks like parts going in for the behind the cockpit. We start to put together our air intakes, and that's all put into the side of the fuselage. And then not sure what those parts are for, but over here we have our wheels and some additional parts for the instrument panel going on. Next we put together, these must be our elevators, and we put together the tail. And over here we're putting the parts into the fuselage, as well as the air intake for the other side. And next thing we put together, these looks like parts for our flaps, and they're all going to be put together. These are probably open slots there, as well as air intake for the other side. Next we put the wheel well covers on, and the fuselage halves go together. Then we put our ducts and the tail on, and our landing gear go on. Build the front part of the fuselage with the canopy, and all the extra parts going on there. We have our side gear going on, and then we start to put on the different pylons. Here we have our wing parts going on, and pylons being put on there, flaps on as well, and then wings are then mounted to the fuselage as well as the engine cover. You can leave that open if you wanted to. And then we have all our different weapons. So those are different options there for the weapons, and fuel tanks and bombs. And here it shows you what your options are for the bombs and fuel tanks. And then we have our decal and paint guide. So it's a very large plane, fairly well molded. Decals are pretty good. Recessed panel and rivet lines look great. Should be a good build.